Hey, race fans, welcome into another installment of Backseat Drivers. I am now going to be joined by Jonathan Merriman and Chase Wilhelm, who we saw an exciting race at Atlanta. Kevin Harvick, no surprise, dominated, get the win. But Harvick's looked speedy since we have started back racing, and he's looked speedy at SHR. They're in their seventh season there.
Yeah, if you really just take a look back at Kevin's career and what he was able to do at Richard Childress Racing, and then more recently what he's been able to do at Stewart-Haas Racing, it's really, really impressive. He came on over there at SHR in 2014. He's already led 10,000 laps for that organization. It's mind-blowing to think that, him and Rodney Childers work that well together, and that Tony Stewart had the foresight to put those guys together and kind of really create, what you could argue could possibly be the gold standard for performance in the Cup Series. There's a couple guys I think you could argue who might be better, who might be a little bit worse. It's all up in the air, but what they've been able to do is outstanding.
Oh, yeah. Tony Stewart knew exactly what he was doing when he got Rodney Childers away from Michael Waltrip Racing to be crew chief for Kevin Harvick. They've been so strong, and like Alex had mentioned, they've come out of the gate swinging ever since we've been racing since the stoppage. And I think that's a testament just to how much Childers and Harvick and that Ford team have their stuff together and ready to go before the car even leaves the shop. When that car is on the hauler, it's pretty dang close to being as good as it can be for the race, and that's why we're seeing them be so strong, because there is no qualifying, no practice, and that bodes well for a team who can get their stuff together at the shop, and that's definitely the Ford team.
Well, Merriman, you mentioned it about the gold standard here in the Cup Series. When we look at things, we have to think that Kevin Harvick is one of those gold standard members because he competes for a championship every single year. Every single race that we talk about, there's a possibility that the four can go out and win that race. So is he the gold standard in the NASCAR Cup Series right now?
No, if anybody's been watching videos long enough on NASCAR.com, they know that I put Kyle Busch as the gold standard. But look, Harvick's there. You could easily swap those two guys out. But I think, when Adam Stevens came on with Kyle Busch, I really think that clicked. Those guys have been able to rattle off wins, multiple championships, and really have been very, very impressive in terms of winning multiple races over multiple seasons. And I think what really puts the cherry on top for me is when they were first paired up together and Kyle broke his legs in Daytona. They came back. He won a ton of races, won a championship, and that just kind of elevates Kyle Busch into a different category for me. His back was against the wall. He knew what he needed to get done, and they did it. So I'm going to take Kyle Busch as the gold standard, but Kevin Harvick, Rodney Childers, they're just a tick below that in my book.
Chase, for my entertainment purposes, please tell me you're disagreeing.
I'm going to. I love to disagree with him any way I can, and I'm going to do that now because I think I would say Harvick is the gold standard, only because, like Kyle has 2 championships. He's won a lot. But Kevin Harvick, what I see is he doesn't make mistakes behind the wheel. We've seen Kyle Busch get a little overzealous and maybe make a mistake or two here and there and maybe let a few wins slip away. But when Kevin Harvick has the car underneath him and he's at the front, he's not going to make a mistake. He's called the closer for a reason. And I think that says a lot. And I would still make him the gold standard, even though, Kyle's had maybe arguably a little more success with 2 championships. But for me, I'm going to still go Harvick.
Well, Kyle's also closed 5 more than Harvick has. He's sitting at 56 wins, not 51. So.
All right. Well, don't forget the age, too, because we might be singing a different tune when Kyle Busch is 44 like Harvick is. All right, so looking ahead to Martinsville, because it's a quick turnaround, so we're going to make the quick turnaround here on Backseat Drivers, but they only have a few days to get those cars from that 1.5 miles of Atlanta to now a short track at Martinsville up in Virginia. So what can we expect from the paperclip? Because I'm ready for some fights.
I think we could definitely have that because, we've seen Chase and Kyle get into it. We've seen Chase and Joey get into it at Bristol. I think if I had to guess, I think the little rift between Kyle and Chase is over. I feel like they've worked it out a little bit. I'm not saying with one to go, if Kyle's in front of Chase for the lead, he's not going to punt him. I'm sure he is. But I think we have a little bit more concern with Joey and Chase because Joey didn't get what he wanted to out of that conversation with Chase. He wanted him to apologize right away, and he kind of had to drag it out of Chase a little bit. So I think Joey's not going to forget about that. And if he gets a chance, even if they're not racing for the lead, I think Joey's going to maybe show him the bumper a little more quickly than he would if they didn't get into it in Bristol.
I'm so tired of drivers having to apologize to each other, having to text each other after the race because you got into me. They were racing for a win. Quit crying about it. They've all done it. I hope we see some fenders get bent and some tempers go up and some people get rattled at Martinsville, because that is a short track. It is what it is all about. It is, NASCAR's oldest bull ring we still run at in the Cup Series. That's what that track was built on. You have to be tough between the ears. You have to be physically tough, and you're going to have to be tough outside of the race car, as we saw last year. We had crews going at it. It was a melee on pit road.
You were there.
I was there. I'm getting so excited because this is what we all tune in to Martinsville for. It is a Wednesday night race. It is prime time. It's not the time to leave anything on the racetrack. And you might think Chase and Kyle are done, but I guarantee you, if Chase Elliott has the opportunity to put the bumper to Kyle Busch to get a win at Martinsville, he's going to do it, and he's not going to care. And there may not be any fans in the grandstands, but I guarantee you, if you are anywhere within earshot of a human being and they're watching the race, you will hear them scream. This has the billing to really be a huge event. And really see some guys get to show their personality inside and outside the race car. I'm pumped for it.
You mentioned, though, both of you guys have talked about that Chase would punt Kyle. So let's say Kyle's behind the 9. Does Kyle go and punt Chase again?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, everybody needs to move everybody on the last lap. I mean, second place doesn't pay as much, and, we're dealing with bonus points in the playoffs. But there's a way to do it. There's a way not to do it. You don't send it off in there, and you don't, turn him. You don't, right rear him into the wall.
Denny Hamlin 3 seasons ago.
Well, yeah, exactly. But, you got to move somebody out of the way. But with what we've seen this year, with what we've seen in previous years at Martinsville, if you don't have your TV tuned into that race, you're missing out.
All right. Well,
it all depends on how much Kyle wants to make the Chase Elliott fans mad.
Kyle doesn't care. Kyle doesn't care.
I mean, look, you had Chase Elliott turn the entire state of Virginia against Denny Hamlin, the Virginia natives. So, I mean, I don't know. I think, like I said before, I still think it's gonna be more with Joey and Chase. I think Joey still has something to say with Chase, but who knows? We have to watch.
Kyle Busch has 2 Cup championships and an endless supply of M&Ms. What does he have to be worried about?
Agree to disagree.
All right. Hopefully you guys can have a peaceful Martinsville hot dog to solve everything. All right. But we're going from Martinsville, and then another quick turnaround. We're going down to Florida for Homestead Miami Speedway. We know that the fastest way around that track is the high lane. So we also have a guy that I know fans are going to be pretty excited about getting back in that 8 car in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, Dale Jr. making his return to the Xfinity Series after a really strong run last year at Darlington. The tracks are set up a little bit differently, but let's face it, it's going to be hot, it's going to be slick, and you're going to have to run the high line. So I think we can expect more of the same out of Dale Jr. I don't think a win is out of the picture when you look how the –
Oh, man, would NASCAR go crazy? Holy moly.
Yeah, I mean, they'll tear the grandstands down, but they're going to have to do it a couple months afterwards. But because, there's not going to be enough people there to do it. But I will say that – Dale's good enough to get in that car. Junior Motorsports has equipment that's good enough to win. We've seen that every week. What he did last year was super impressive at Darlington. So, but on the Cup side of things, I think it's going to come down between Harvick and Joe Gibbs Racing fighting for a win. Hopefully we have a little bit more side-by-side racing that we saw in Atlanta, but it's going to be hot, it's going to be slick, and it's going to chew tires up.
As far as Dale Jr., I think we'd all be lying if we said we weren't rooting for him to win at Homestead. So I really do think he has a pretty good shot. And Junior Motorsports always brings great race cars to Homestead, and we've seen that in the past, and we'll see it again. But as far as the Cup race is concerned, Joe Gibbs Racing had a really strong race at Atlanta. I think they're finally turning the corner when it comes to gaining more speed and being more competitive with the Kevin Harvicks and Team Penske and even Hendrick Motorsports. So I think Homestead is where we're really going to see Joe Gibbs Racing shine. I mean, look, last year we saw Kyle Busch win the race to win the championship. Martin Truex Jr. finished second, so he'll be right there. If I had to guess, I mean, this might be a good track for Truex to maybe get his first win of the season. I just think that Joe Gibbs Racing, they've really turned a corner after Atlanta, and that's really scary for the rest of the competition.
All right. Well, how many wrecks do we think at Martinsville? Give me a number.
I don't know. I don't know if you could eat as many hot dogs as there will be wrecks. It could be a
How
lot.
about that? Good.
I don't know. Merriman, I think you could give that ratio a run for their money. I think you
Merriman
could.
eating the more hot dogs?
I think I think so, because Merriman's told me what his number is before. I'm not going to say it. I don't know if he wants that to be public, but
I try to keep it around 10, but I could go higher.
A day or the weekend?
I mean, come on. I have to pace myself a little bit. I've got kids to think about here for the weekend.
I was going to go 10, so I think Merriman could beat that number in hot dogs.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's going to be an exciting June for NASCAR Cup Series. We have a lot of racing coming up, so make sure that you keep it locked on NASCAR.com and continue watching Backseat Drivers. We'll see you guys next time.